and everything in between. So I will continue to do what I'm doing now, which is to shift my focus from where I am in the continuum into what form, what avatar I wish to animate at what time. That's where I'm going to go.
Thank you.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay. Karen, what do you think of that?
Thank you.
Great question.
Oh.
Can you hear me now? Am I in?
Yes, I can.
Oh, okay.
You are unmuted. Go for it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's a great question. I was kind of a young child as a first grader age when Star Trek came out, and I pretty much felt like I was, between that and the space program, promised to go out into space in my lifetime, and here I am still grounded. I've been a little bit ticked off about that. So the being grounded on Earth was a lovely place. I didn't like to see more of it because I haven't traveled as much as I'd liked either. But I'd actually like to get out and see this big universe, galaxy. Just the solar system would be fun to just look at up close and personal. So, yeah, I would want to incarnate and or be in some kind of civilization where they travel around in motherships and get to explore stuff. That sounds like a fun thing for me.
Wow. Thank you.
Great. And so, Bob, what would you do in your next incarnation if your ex came down and wiped us all out, or at least wiped you out, because you're not one of the elite?
I would love to be immortal, because there's not enough time to see everything around the planet. You know, during one lifetime, I'm sorry. You know, I want to go to all these places I've been seeing all these years on the science shows, like, you know, Babylon, Jerusalem, the megastones over there in the Baalbek Temple. I want to see everything.
Wow.
Sounds good. All right, so we've got about 15 minutes left of the show. Where do we want to go?
I really need to step. Yeah. The flood of Ziusudra of Noah was roughly 12,900 years ago. The last time this thing came through was during the exodus of the Hebrews out of Egypt. That's been dated now to 1613 BC. Over on the ancient Greek island of Thera, now called Santorini, they found an olive tree at the lowest level where the ground was before the volcanic ash went on top. They positively dated it 10 BC. Ippur, an Egyptian scribe during the Exodus, detailed the entire account. Very well detailed it. Hardly anyone knows about it, and no one's talking about it except for very few people. He detailed what happened when the destroyer was in their skies, what it did, who left, and what happened. Ippur was very clear. The slaves were leaving, and the evildoers had latched on to the group of the slaves. The evildoers were the Egyptians who latched on to the Hebrews as they left. He detailed the entire account, where they went, here, there, blah, blah, blah. He said volcanic ash was falling all over Egypt, that the fire in the sky was raining down huge asteroid debris. It was smashing almost everyone's house, including the palace. The Pharaoh lost his firstborn. The only problem there, though, is that it wasn't an Egyptian Pharaoh. That's why there's no account. The Egyptians were not in charge of Upper Egypt. The Hyksos were. The Hyksos were ruling Upper Egypt from the 12th Egyptian dynasty till the end of the 17th Egyptian dynasty. Akhmos and his brother led the attack on the Hyksos and kicked them out of Egypt. The Hyksos were followed by Egyptian forces, and they were pushed up towards what's now Jerusalem. Akhmos in Hebrew means brother of Moses.
Mhm.
The slaves were led by a priest prince from the inner courtyard of the Hyksos pharaoh, because the Hyksos kept using all the normal terms. Ippawar described very clearly what happened during this stuff. And it's very put in here. He said its movement, the doom shape called the destroyer in Egypt, was seen in all the lands thereabout. In color, it was bright and fiery. In appearance, changing and unstable. It was not a great comet or a loosened star, being more like a fiery body of flame. Its movements on high were slow. Below it swirled in a matter of smoke, and remained close to the sun, whose face it hid. There was a bloody redness about it. He puts down very clearly that the dark days began with the last visitation of the destroyer, and they were foretold by strange omens in the skies. He said all this stuff happened, and blah, blah, blah. I don't have the time to read it through here. He said the earth felt like it turned over, like on a potter's wheel. Near the very end, he goes into much more description. I'm going there right now. Behold, in the days long gone into dust, a whirlwind came, and earth poured out her wrathful breath, so that you were burnt. The evildoers were swept away by the waters, and the wicked ones were swallowed up in the fires. The days of the years were shortened, and the times of all things altered. The seasons were turned around so that the seed rotted within the soil, and no green shoots came forth to greet the day. All buds withered upon the vines, land dead in its gray shroud. The moon changed the order of her ways, and the sun set herself a new course, so that men knew not where they were afflicted. He goes on to say that the Hebrews, Kebrews, left Egypt. Now the Hyksos were a Canaanite people. I don't know how many Canaanite tribes are over there, because the Israelis are also Canaanite.
That's right.
He says very clear here, my land is old. 120 generations have passed since Osiris brought light to men. 4 times the stars have moved to new positions, and twice the sun has changed the direction of his journey. Twice the destroyer has struck earth. Does not tell what he meant by that. And 3 times the heavens have opened and shut. Doesn't describe anything about that. Twice the land has been swept clean by water. These are all pole shift accounts. Now, this was 1613. 1600 BC, Mozi of China. Mozi, M-O-Z-I of China, tells almost the exact same thing. He puts down that during the time of the warlords, 3 gods appeared and aligned themselves with one warlord, and they punished all the other warlords for not laying down their arms. They caused great amounts of sand and rocks to fall from the sky for almost 9 days. Ippawar says the exact time, 9 to 10 days.
Wow.
They said it became very hot and it became very cold. Forest fires were set and stuff was frozen. Remember that earlier account about the ark feeling hot and cold?
Mm-hmm.
This is confirmation
Same
from
thing.
these sides of the world. Confirmation, yeah.
Exactly. And he said all these different things happened, almost sound exactly what happened in Egypt. The movie 2012, a pole shift. Now, my contact, the Palladian 7B woman, she told me to not be afraid. She told me it will not be as damaging as Noah's flood, but things will happen. And she's refused to tell me anything further, other than to tell people to get prepared as if they're going on a 6-month backpacking trip.
Now, let me ask you, in all your historical accounts, there's no way to really determine, to ascertain that this is going to happen every time the Nibiru comes through. It just happens sometimes. Know how to make that determination. Correct.
Well, the Hopi described very clearly at the end of the third Hopi world, which was heavily technological. They got around using flying shields. The Indian people, they got around using vimanas.
Right.
The Hopi said there was a great deal of heavy earthquakes. Okay? Earth crustal displacement. We're going to have massive earthquakes all over the place. That's going to take out our roads, our bridges, and everything else. So you're going to have to be mostly on foot, assuming there's not any massive flooding. But those maps put out by Edgar Cayce show a tremendous amount of flooding. The entire west coast is gone except for huge islands all the way up to Canada. Tahoe is one huge island. On up. The deep underground military vaults are all active now. I have that from a military friend. The dome under the Denver airport is fully activated. In one of the mountains called Arsenal something, they opened up 3 15-story buildings that are underneath the mountain going down 2,000 feet.
Populated.
Well, they're fully activated, meaning they have everyone inside that has to be inside.
Wow. It's already there.
They know this. They know this thing's coming. They know at least what they were told or what they think is going to happen is going to happen. They think they're going to sit in these deep underground military bases until all the dust settles. So
Okay,
whatever
let
happens, they figure. Yes.
Let's imagine that it's like they're all ready for it to happen and it never happens. Then what happens? If hey, this is look at the sky far out, and but there's no terrible disaster, but stuff we basically get through. What happens?
And that's exactly what almost all the contactees, including myself, completely by surprise. That the Star Force, or whatever term you want to use, is going to stop them. Eisenhower threatened to shoot them from the sky if they ever came back in 1954. They've shown up over every nuclear missile site around the planet and have shut down the stuff every single time. Soho, stereo behind, stereo ahead. The SETI, U.S. Navy satellites are on stereo ahead, stereo behind. They've been showing massive starships coming into our system since 1998. These starships have been firing at things, massive beams of energy, and have been taking out asteroids that have gotten too close or would be getting too close. I have over 3,000 photographs showing this. They have intervened on our side. Years ago, they put massive things, almost the size of our planet, all around our sun. NASA knows this. I have several images of these things around our sun. They're controlling our sun's interaction with Nemesis, which is a brown dwarf star which orbits around our solar system, and it's 7 planets. Nibiru is number 6. Sedna, Sedna, a dwarf planet, which all of your listeners can find on their astronomy programs. Open it up, we have our solar system, click on dwarf planets, click on Sedna, and back way off. Here's our little tiny solar system inside the massive orbit of Sedna, a completely circular orbit. Okay? So they've already intervened. They want us to survive as advanced humans this time so we can go up to the next level. At least that's what I'm told. So all I can do is believe that my contact is telling me to say the right thing, that we don't have to worry too much about it, but things will happen. Now, the Hopi said that the blue star Kachina would arrive and the Star Brothers would dance in the plaza, meaning for everyone to see, not just the Hopi, for everyone to see, and they would take off their mask so you would know exactly what they look like. That sounds like first contact to me.
Wow.
But they had determined that the humans had fallen so far away from their original purpose. The red star Kachina, the big red thing you've got pictures of, would cleanse the planet.
Oh my gosh.
Cleanse. Now what does a pole shift do? Okay, only certain few survive.
Yeah.
People on the ark, people up in the mountains, they survived. Enlil was angrier than Beep because Enki had told Zayasudra. And that's when Enki told Enlil that Zayasudra was his son, and he couldn't let his son and his family die. See, all like the other woman here in on the show, it's all been kept away from us all. Things have been damaged. They've been misinterpreted. They've been falsely said they're garbage, blah, blah, blah. Because the Enkis want the humans to go on, where Enlil doesn't want them to go on. That's why we're all not trusting each other. See, the Hopis had the same thing as Babylon or Marduk. The Hopis and the white people, there's a certain term for them, Pahanas, I think it is. The Hopis and the Pahanas all arrived in the New World, and because everyone spoke one language during the Third World of Hopi. So when they arrived over here, the chief of the Hopi people asked their god to change their languages so they couldn't understand each other the next day. Next morning, different groups couldn't talk to each other, including the Pahanas, the white people. So either there's a whole bunch of people lying left and right, and I've never heard that about Zachariah Sitchin. No one has come out to say, this guy is a bald-faced, bleep, 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 bleep. Zachariah Sitchin was seen in several videos where the Vatican was telling him to tone down his stance. See, interesting thing, the Jesuits, 1955, an Israeli Vatican U.S. space probe with alien technology was made in Area 51. It was launched by the Aurora space plane. It went from the Earth all the way out past Pluto and met up with the planet Nibiru. It videotaped planet Nibiru for who knows how long. It came all the way back in what I'm told was less than a month. Less than a month. It downloaded all of the information to a secret Jesuit base on a HARP facility up in Alaska. That was all leaked in early 2000 by a high-ranking Jesuit priest to an Italian reporter. Interesting.
Wow.
Pope Benedict, the first pope in 600 years to retire. For whatever reason, everyone has a theory on it. After he retired, he got on several German radio shows and was blasting the Jesuits for their alien agenda.
Ooh.
Pope Francis, a very good man, I'm told, is a Jesuit. 2 books have been put out over the years thinking he's going to be the official first contactee for all the Catholics. And I can guarantee you the Jewish faith, the Muslim faith, and almost every other faith that knows about this has already made their plans too. China, years ago, started building massive cities down in Africa. They're completely abandoned. They have everything, power, water, sewer system, everything. They're under heavy guard to let no one go in. Why do the Chinese build these massive cities for, and they're all sitting there waiting for something? They did the same thing up in the Gobi Desert. We have been shipping M1 Abrams battle tanks to Norway to be hidden inside massive caves for almost 3 years in a row. A new friend I got about a month ago now, he had an article on his Facebook page showing several rows, I think it was about 4 or 5 rows and maybe hundreds deep of Humvees with the machine gun on top. Nice clean area. It said the photograph was leaked showing all these U.S. Humvees, United States sign on them, all hidden in several caves up in Norway. The Doomsday Seed Vault. 60 Minutes ran that years ago. They only found out about it because of the massive amounts of money that the world's billionaires paid for it. Bill Gates all the way down. That's the only reason 60 Minutes found it. The Doomsday Seed Vault, the small Vard Seed Vault, if it loses power, can remain frozen for 25 years. The United States has a massive seed vault even bigger than that one up in Denver. Almost every country has a seed vault around the planet.
Wow.
Ippler's tale was very clear that fire from the sky burned everything that grew, orchards, fields, vines. They almost starved until they found where the new growing seasons were. Eisenhower was probably told that by the Nordics in 1955. Okay, so we're already prepared for something. Is it going to happen? I don't know. I can only tell you what I have had researched over the years. Okay? You both have met me. I don't think I'm a liar. Okay? This is all the stuff I found. All these pictures I have showing these things in our sky, none of the other researchers of Nibiru are looking at. But if they are, they keep them quiet.
Wow.
They're probably nice people with excellent educations. I'm the only one posting the photographs on my Facebook page of every one of these people. Dr. Greer told me and my wife a couple of years back that we are in contact with at least 50 alien races on a daily basis.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm quite sure a lot of the other ones probably know about this too. Whether they don't,
absolutely.
It's not my fault.
You can't be in this community and not look at the perfectly reasonable research done by a whole lot of people that confirmed the very sequence that you've been mentioning. It's just there. I'm amazed at.
Now, in the movie 2012, the main character goes up to Yellowstone, and he finds his favorite radio show person right there, and gets to talk to him. That's the guy that used to be on Cheers. He was the bartender. He was also, I think, a congressman one term. He pulls
Woody
down.
Harrelson.
Yes.
Woody Harrelson. He's the crazy guy up at Yellowstone.
Right.
Waiting for the end.
He's pulling down these video screens, and here's a long list on every one of all the astronomers that tried to leak it and they were killed, or they died weirdly. Yeah. There is a same thing. There's a long list of U.S. astronomers and other astronomers around the planet. They have all been accidentally killed or died suddenly. So someone's been trying to leak this stuff, and they've been found out. Mm-hmm. Very clear. Okay? NASA, 2007-2008, imaged the brown dwarf star we call Nemesis.
Yes.
You guys have seen those pictures before.
Yes.
Nemesis has 7 planets. NASA leaked all these other stuff. Exactly what we're seeing. Nibiru had anywhere from 3 to 11 moons. They imaged Nibiru itself in 2008. I have copies of all this stuff. I've been posting them up on Facebook. And you have them there. Been on several other different shows. That's one heck of an orbit to be circling around Nibiru out between Mars and Jupiter. But if you look at that orbit that Sedna, the dwarf planet, has around our solar system, it's massive. It's probably 2 or 3 times massive. And that's one of the 7 planets. We've seen 4 of these things in our skies. I have the photographs to match it. In fact, my friends around the planet are starting to see it more and more and more now. And they're sending in the photographs.
Well, I guess, if you don't know the swim, then you better sing the hymn.
I'm sorry. This is the information I found during my research. Okay.
Sure.
So Edgar Casey, the sleeping prophet, backs up all this other stuff, backs up almost everything I'm found. Every president has pinned those little things on the White House desk that they're put into law immediately. What's the name of those stupid things? If there has to be martial law, the internet gets shut down, telephones get shut down, everything gets shut down. That way you can't tell everyone else around the planet what's happening in your neck of the woods. Okay? The survivors, there have been numerous nightmares, visions, well before Obama became a senator. And this is the scary part. They said a huge tidal wave hit the United States, and all the survivors were in what they called the hiding times.
Whoa.
Because the black helicopters were picking up the survivors, and they were taking them to the FEMA camps. There was a black U.S. president, brand new U.S. flag. This scared a lot of my friends when he became senator and then became president. Obama was supposed to have had an alien ambassador to the UN several times. He's refused. They want an alien ambassador. This stuff, it's just been one thumbtack in the, just leading the way we're heading. One thumbtack after another, after another, after another. I don't know if we're going to have a pole shift. I don't know if we're going to have a massive wave like was seen in the movie 2012. It was, 1633 meters high, racing up towards the Himalayas.
I
don't know if that's going to happen.
It was a very dynamic scene, yeah.
But one thing 2012 did not show, where were all of our Navy ships?
Well, we're
where were the Russian? Where were the Russian I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, that's
we would
okay.
have.
What I want to do is give Karen a little chance to say something.
I will shut up. I will shut up then. I'm sorry, Karen.
We love what you're saying, and we're fascinated, and we just want to give Karen a little shot.
Yeah, we just want to pass the ball a little bit because we're running out of time here. So I'm sure Karen's over there going with her hands raised, but we can't see her. Karen.
Oh, you know me so well. I don't know. I have in the face of diversity, I have the Irish dark humor. When he was talking about the red Katina or the blue Katina, I was thinking about Earth, the red pill or the blue pill. But anyway, I feel, well, a lot of what he's saying I have absolutely seen in the information that I've looked at. It's obvious from looking at, what these maneuvers have been about is to have some kind of contingency plan that protects a certain group of the people, maybe scientists and engineers and people who can repopulate the Earth with, some kind of terraforming thing. So all these things were definitely believed by the government, by maybe a secret government, secret cabal, and of course they didn't have any, idea that they were going to tell us about it, which is a little unfair. At least Noah told his neighbors, right, according to the Bible. But anyway, I want to say this, though, is that it's interesting if it doesn't happen, what happens, because we will know that they were going to, leave us to the elements, so to speak, and that'll be interesting in terms of world governance as we find out that they were all prepared for this and didn't prepare us for that. But a couple of things. You talked about who met Eisenhower on the tarmac, and it's Bob Dean, no less than Bob Dean, who I love, because when I want to feel positive, I go listen to Bob Dean.
Gerald Light.
Yes?
Gerald Light wrote a letter to his friend telling him all about what happened. He was there with Randolph Hearst in 1954.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to put this one part in really fast. About Star Trek.
He said the Nordics were the Anunnaki, and they said don't make a treaty with the Greys, and we made the Greada Treaty, which was trading technology for abduction. Yeah, I believe it's one of the stories.
Okay, Gerald Light says here in his letter, which is on my web page, I had forgotten how commonplace things as dematerialization of solid objects had become to my own mind, the coming and going of an etheric or spirit body. he said that this hand-picked team of Western scientists, their jaws were on the floor many times as they watched a big block of something, dematerialization. Star Trek was the first book, TV show, movie to ever use that term for the transporter.
Yes, and Gene Roddenberry was tipped off by insiders. So he had if you know what you're looking for, in the original Star Trek series, you can find an awful lot of this back-end material that starts even in the very first pilot. In the very first pilot of the movie, or became the show later on, they show this the aliens reading the technical or the history of Earth, and if you slow that down and look, you'll see spacecraft that was on the drawing table that was not declassified, flipping through that little slideshow really, really fast. So now later you can go back and, of course, YouTube, you can slow it down and look. But the thing is, we've had this being revealed to us. So I do believe you're right. I think maybe the elite types of people wanted to leave us out to dry. I don't believe we as America, kind of, if we see someone, Honduras has a great hurricane, we will send so many resources in the Red Cross as much as we can to help people. I think I can't imagine that our star neighbors don't feel the same way, especially if we're at a point in our history where we're ready to, have a consciousness raising and go to the stars that they wouldn't help us. So I just want to say for myself, I believe that help is either on the way, already arrived, and we'll probably go through some difficulty, no doubt. Just because of some of the technologies that have been unleashed on us, like HARP and whatnot. I just think that that we have a good future as well as the scenario that's been painted that's somewhat negative. So that's what I have to say.
What led up to
okay,
that?
Yes.
Let Josh follow up, okay? And
well, in terms of this, the whole catastrophe we're looking at, I'm reminded of Neil Young saying that he saw the spaceship with man's silver seed taking man to a new home in the sun. And I've interviewed Laura Eisenhower and others who, Laura was approached by government agents would you like to be one of the leaders on the Mars colony? There's a base on Mars, and people have been going there already, and
yes.
It's there. And this has been confirmed by our interviews with Andy Bashago and Randy Kramer. It's already there.
Dr. Courtney Brown knows it also.
Uh-huh.
So let's wrap this up. So Bob will give you the final word, and then back to the closing.
Eisenhower was going to go public with the 1954 thing. It was stopped by MJ-12, which was started by Truman.
Mm-hmm.
Eisenhower's hands were tied. When he met with the Nordics in 1955, he went back to the White House and ordered everyone to never mention flying saucers, aliens ever again during his time in the office. He said something to Kennedy. Kennedy knew something was going on. He showed up unannounced at numerous military bases and would only talk to the unenlisted people only. The BBC today, several years ago, saying that Kennedy was killed because he knew about aliens. They found 2 desktop accounts that he ordered all this material to be on his desk when he got back from Dallas. He never came back from Dallas.
Wow.
And they showed the original documents. You can find me on the internet at www.starshipsaroundthesun.com. You can find me on Facebook under Robert H. Evans, Jr. I'll try to answer any questions we can. I've been on several different radio shows. Eric Brown's Cosmic Cafe and some other shows. And Janet told me something that you guys told me to watch out for earlier. I forgot what that was. Some kind of Okay, cool. That's cool.
Yeah, show, yeah. But there's
Yeah.
a series that contacted us about Planet X, and they're going to be contacting you. But until they contact you, let's not mention it until it actually happens.
That's cool. That's cool. No,
Okay.
no problem. That's it.
Right. Well, that's
My tongue is
it for
tied.
today. I want to. We tied his tongue at last. Okay, we did it. We went to another show, and we're still here. Yay! Let's hope we see tomorrow.
Well, we're already dead and haven't been born yet, and we're all the places at the same time.
That's right. We exist in the cosmos. Karen, much love to you. Say goodbye. Say hello to everybody.
Oh, goodbye. Thank you. It's great talking to you, Bob. And also you, Sasha.
During the exodus of the Hebrews out of Egypt. That's been dated now to 1613 BC. Over on the ancient Greek island of Thera, now called Santorini, they found an olive tree at the lowest level where the ground was before the volcanic ash went on top. They positively dated it 16 BC. Ippur, an Egyptian scribe during the Exodus, detailed the entire account. Very well detailed it. Hardly anyone knows about it, and no one's talking about it except for very few people. He detailed what happened when the destroyer was in their skies, what it did, who left, and what happened. Ippur was very clear. The slaves were leaving, and the evildoers had latched on to the group of the slaves. The evildoers were the Egyptians who latched on to the Hebrews as they left. He detailed the entire account, where they went, here, there, blah, blah, blah. He said volcanic ash was falling all over Egypt, that the fire in the sky was raining down huge asteroid debris. It was smashing almost everyone's house, including the palace. The Pharaoh lost his firstborn. The only problem there, though, is that it wasn't an Egyptian Pharaoh. That's why there's no account. The Egyptians were not in charge of Upper Egypt. The Hyksos were. The Hyksos were ruling Upper Egypt from the 12th Egyptian dynasty till the end of the 17th Egyptian dynasty. Akhmos and his brother led the attack on the Hyksos and kicked them out of Egypt. The Hyksos were followed by Egyptian forces, and they were pushed up towards what's now Jerusalem. Akhmos in Hebrew means brother of Moses.
Mm-hmm.
The slaves were led by a priest prince from the inner courtyard of the Hyksos Pharaoh, because the Hyksos kept using all the normal terms.
Some kind of civilization where they travel around in motherships and get to explore stuff. That sounds like a fun thing for me.
Wow. Thank you.
Great. And so, Bob, what would you do in your next incarnation if your ex came down and wiped us all out, or at least wiped you out, because you're not one of the elite?
I would love to be immortal, because there's not enough time to see everything around the planet. You know, during one lifetime, I'm sorry. You know, I want to go to all these places I've been seeing all these years on the science shows, like, you know, Babylon, Jerusalem, the megastones over there in the Baalbek Temple. I want to see everything.
Wow.
Sounds good. All right, so we've got about 15 minutes left of the show. Where do we want to go?
I really need. I really need to step. Yeah. The flood of Ziusudra of Noah was roughly 12,900 years ago. The last time this thing came through was Nibiru described very clearly what happened during this stuff. And it's very put in here. He said its movement, the doom shape called the destroyer in Egypt, was seen in all the lands thereabout. In color, it was bright and fiery. In appearance, changing and unstable. It was not a great comet or a loosened star, being more like a fiery body of flame. Its movements on high were slow. Below it swirled in a matter of smoke, and remained close to the sun, whose face it hid. There was a bloody redness about it. He puts down very clearly that the dark days began with the last visitation of the destroyer, and they were foretold by strange omens in the skies. He said all this stuff happened, and blah, blah, blah. I don't have the time to read it through here. He said the earth felt like it turned over, like on a potter's wheel. Near the very end, he goes into much more description. I'm going there right now. Behold, in the days long gone into dust, a whirlwind came, and earth poured out her wrathful breath, so that you were burnt.
And everything in between. So I will continue to do what I'm doing now, which is to shift my focus from where I am in the continuing into what form, what avatar I wish to animate at what time. That's where I'm going to go.
Thank you.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay. Karen, what do you think of that?
Thank you.
Great question.
Oh.
Can you hear me now? Am I in?
Yes,
I can.
Oh,
You
okay.
are unmuted. Go for it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's a great question. I was kind of a young child as a first grader age when Star Trek came out, and I pretty much felt like I was, between that and the space program, promised to go out into space in my lifetime, and here I am still grounded. I've been a little bit ticked off about that. So the being grounded on Earth was a lovely place. I didn't like to see more of it because I haven't traveled as much as I'd liked either. But I'd actually like to get out and see this big universe, galaxy. Just the solar system would be fun to just look at up close and personal. So, yeah, I would want to incarnate and or be in